It's 2 in the morning, and you are staring at your phone. You sent a text message 4 hours ago, and now you are rereading it for the 10th time. You are looking for a mistake. You are convinced you sounded rude. You worry you sounded needy. Or maybe you just sounded like too much. Your chest feels heavy. There is a sinking heat in your stomach. You are sure you just ruined a good relationship. You feel like a criminal waiting to be caught. Even when things go well, you are waiting for the other shoe to drop. You feel like a fraud. You think everyone is about to realize you are a burden. You assume every silence is a personal attack. You scan the room for tiny shifts in mood. You notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes. You think it is because of you. You are exhausted by your own mind. Most of us think this feeling is a moral compass. We think feeling bad means we are good people. We believe that if we worry enough, we can prevent a disaster. But this isn't usually a moral signal. It is a high-performance smoke detector. It was built to go off every time you make toast. We have been trained to believe that thinking is the same as fixing. We replay the past because we want to find a version where we didn't fail. But the thinking doesn't process the pain. It preserves the pain. It keeps the hurt alive, like an insect trapped in amber. We have learned to use guilt as a way to stay safe in a world that felt unpredictable. I have spent a long time looking at these patterns. I have noticed that people who feel the most guilt are often the most capable. They are not broken. They have just developed a rare type of intelligence. It is the kind of intelligence that comes from having to read the room to survive. I have sat in that same darkness. I know what it feels like to believe your existence is a problem for other people. I have learned that you can know your patterns and still feel stuck. I found that awareness is not the same as healing. Healing takes new experiences of safety. It takes learning to tell the difference between a real mistake and a survival habit. To stop the spiral, we need to use a simple test. You can do this in 60 seconds. It uses 3 specific steps to check your internal logic. Step 1. Check the source. Healthy guilt is about an act. It is specific, it is finite, it says you made a mistake. Toxic guilt is about identity. It says you are the mistake. Think about a concrete example. Imagine you forgot a friend's birthday. Healthy guilt says, I missed the date, I should call them and apologize. Toxic guilt says, I am a terrible friend, I always let people down, no wonder people leave me. The self-talk line for this step is, am I judging what I did or who I am? If the feeling is about your whole self, it is not a moral signal, it is a blueprint. Your brain built when you were a kid. You likely lived in a home where you had to earn the space you stood in. You learned that love came with fine print. Now, your brain assumes you are always breaking a rule. Step 2. Check the velocity. Healthy guilt leads to a solution. It creates a brief tension. It goes away once you fix the problem. Toxic guilt leads to rumination. It is a loop. It goes nowhere. It just cycles. Think about this example. You accidentally interrupted someone in a meeting. Healthy guilt makes you say, sorry, please finish your thought. Then it's over. Toxic guilt makes you replay that 3-second moment for the next 3 days. You apologize 5 times. Each time you apologize, you feel worse. The self-talk line for this step is this thought solving a problem or just repeating it? Your brain does this because it hates uncertainty. It wants a clear answer. It thinks that if it replays the scene 100 times, it will finally feel safe, but it won't. This is like a white bear experiment. The harder you try to stop the thought, the louder it gets. You are not being responsible. You are being hypervigilant. You are scanning for a threat that happened years ago. Step 3. Check the direction. Healthy guilt moves outward. It wants to connect. It looks for a way to make things right with the other person. Toxic guilt moves inward. It wants to hide. It makes you want to disappear. Here is an example. You feel overwhelmed and cancel plans. Healthy guilt says, I'm sorry I can't make it. Let's reschedule for Tuesday. Toxic guilt makes you turn off your phone. You stop answering texts. You fold the relationship into a drawer and close it. You decide you are a burden, and it's better if you just stay away. The self-talk line for this step is, does this feeling bring me closer to people or push them away? Toxic guilt is a wall. Its architecture is built for protection. You pull back because you believe that being seen is dangerous. You go quiet because silence feels like the only safe language you know. You would rather carry the pain alone than risk being dismissed again. You are not too much. You are not anxious in a way that is a malfunction. You are paying attention. You have a deeply trained emotional intelligence. You can read a room like a headline. You can sense a shift in someone's mood before they even speak. This is a gift. It just has a high cost. You developed these skills because you had to. You are like a translator who speaks a language no one else is learning. None of this justifies what you went through. The hard things should not have happened, but your mind found a way to build something real with it. You have an extraordinary capacity for staying present with pain. That is why people are drawn to you. They can sense that you have been somewhere they are afraid to go. You are not behind. You are someone who went somewhere very few people go and found out what you were made of. You are allowed to retire the judge in your head. You are allowed to stop apologizing for taking up space. Understanding these patterns is the first step. But the brain doesn't update through facts. It updates through new habits. If you want to start that work, I have a resource for you. Watch the Start Here, Stop Guilt and Shame Spirals playlist. It will help you clear the mental backlog. It will show you how to rebuild your focus day by day. Next, I recommend watching Why You Always Take the Blame Even If It's Not Your Fault. It explains why your brain chooses to be the defendant, even when there is no crime. This is educational, not therapy. And if you want, comment one word, source, velocity, or direction, to tell me what part you're stuck in.